Okay. But then you end up leaving Asylum and you became the vice president of A&R at Quality Control.
Yeah. Yep. I was at QC for a little minute. I went, well, on the media side, I went over to Amazon. I had a show on Amazon that nobody knew existed. I love Amazon, but I did it once a month. You can't do anything consistently once a month a year. You know what I mean? But yeah, I went over to QC. I was talking to QC. Damn, I started talking to P when I still was at Everyday Struggle. It was when we interviewed Baby for my turn. Is when the conversations of me and P, like, we first started. I met Coach when Yachty did the freshman cover, because him and East was on the freshman cover. And then we had numerous people that knew us that kept trying to link me with Coach. But Coach was, I really love Coach's approach, man, because he's really like, he got a really, he's a Jedi. Like, he's like a Jedi master. Like, he got to really fill you out before he starts to even speak to you. But me and P, you know, we started talking. He had hit me and he said that he wanted Baby on the show when I was doing Everyday Struggle. And, you know, there's a whole process between talent and all that. I went to them. I said, yo, listen, I don't care what's happening. We need Lil Baby on the show. You know what I mean? And Baby came on the show. And then after that, I got up with P that day and then we started talking about, you know, what I was doing outside of Everyday Struggle and me doing A&R and all that. And he was like, yo, he got this line. He said, if it makes some sense for us to get some money, you know what I mean, let's figure it out. So we spent about a year and some change talking, and then that led me to working for QC.
And you worked with Lil Yachty over there.
I work with Yachty, but Yachty's his own thing. You know what I mean? Like, the artist that I signed Baby Money, he's from Detroit. I signed another kid from Nashville that he never got a chance, that he just was getting in too much trouble. Nobody even know he exists. But then I was working on the development acts because I like to work with the babies. I like to work with day one artists, you know what I mean? But I did get a chance to work with Yachty, work with the Concrete Boys, you know what I'm saying? Work with Quavo for a little bit when him and Takeoff was doing Only Built for Infinity Links. That was fun. That was really fun, man, working with them. Well, I didn't get a chance to work with Takeoff, unfortunately. I really wanted to, but I got a chance to be in a couple of meetings with Quavo, you know what I mean, while they was working on that joint. And what's crazy was, like, I had picked a song, and it's crazy, yo, and the A&R game is crazy sometimes, man, because we was in a meeting, and I had a meeting with Quavo. Well, we had me and Brandra. She was also the head of A&R. We had a meeting with Quavo, and he played us all these records from him and Takeoff. And, well, he just played us a bunch of records, and I was putting stars next to all the songs I like. And we was in this meeting, and P is in there, and, like, a couple execs from Motown, and he playing shit, and P get up, he walk out, he like, damn. So it felt like he wasn't nobody paying no attention. I'm sitting next to Quavo, I go on my MacBook, I'm like, yo, play Us versus Them. So the first time I said it, he was like, all right. So then he kept playing songs, and, like, it wasn't nothing moving. I said, Quavo, please play Us versus Them. He like, all right, because I had that song saved in my notes with 5 stars next to it. He plays it, the whole room moves. They like, why didn't you play this first? You know what I mean? And then when that happened, P got excited, all of that. So it was like, that's what I got into the game for, you know what I mean? To have those moments as an A&R. But, you know, while I was at QC, a lot of shit happened too. You know, Takeoff passed away, Wavy Navy Pool. Shit, I was working with Bankroll Freddie. He ended up getting locked up, you know what I'm saying, to a crazy sentence. But yeah, it was good, you know what I mean, for what it was worth.
Well, right, because at one point you actually moved down to Atlanta, and then QC gets sold right afterwards.
Well, yeah, I moved. I had told P, because my whole thing, bro, is like, if I'm going to do something, I'm all in. You know what I mean? I want to show that I'm all in. So I asked my family, like, yo, would y'all want to move down here? Like, because the way they was telling me what QC was going to be, it was going into this next phase, and they had the sports, you know what I mean? They had the sports, they had film, and all these other things I'm passionate about, right? Like, I'm passionate about sports. I wanted to learn film. So I'm like, yeah, let me move down here. And, like, probably like 8 months after I moved down, I remember another A&R from Motown called me and said, congratulations. I'm like, for what? She like, QC just sold. I'm like, what? She sends me the article. I looked, I'm like, oh shit, but that's P and Coach, bro. You be sitting right there with them. You don't know what they got going on. Like, you just see it in the news. But it was, you know, it was good for them. You know what I mean? I was happy for them, but it changed a lot of things for me. But ultimately, I'm not mad at it. You know what I mean? That's their company, and I made a lot of money with them, so I ain't mad at it.
Well, why didn't you stay with the company?
It wasn't, I mean, they went into a different direction and they just didn't renew my contract. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you have, you know, these jobs, like, we sign deals the same way an artist would sign a deal. So, you know, actually, for me to even do my deal, it took some time because my attorney was playing ping pong with their attorney. And because I worked the media, and it was falling under the UMG umbrella, they was like, oh, nah, we don't want him being privy to all this stuff. It wasn't coming from QC, it was coming from UMG. Like, what if he's privy to information and he says it on whatever platform? I'm like, I ain't gonna do none of that shit, you know what I mean? But ultimately, they just didn't renew my contract. And I can't even knock them. Like, I didn't bring, while I was there, I didn't bring a hit record. You know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong, I brought Baby Money. Baby Money, he was showing promise and he was a good developing act, but he didn't break into one of the next. And the thing about the job is you got to break something. You got to break a record, or you got to break an artist, or you got to break a collective. You got to do something that's going to shake the room. And ultimately, that didn't happen for me. You know what I'm saying? But it was a good experience.
But look, I always say this, and people like to say I don't know what I'm talking about. But whenever you hear an artist that breaks, that complains about the deal that they have, the reason why these deals are put in place the way they are is because if a label puts out 10 new artists, there's a reasonable chance 9 of them will lose all the money you invested. Like, all these artists you're talking about, they're paying you, they're paying the artist, they're paying travel, they're paying wardrobe, they're paying this, their studio costs, whatever else. The artist never comes out. It is a 100% loss to the company. There's very few companies that function with this type of insane zero return for investment type of situations. So when you do have an artist that blows and they don't have a great contract, it's because they're having to finance all the other albums that never came out.
Yeah.
And initially, it's not going to be a great contract, but that's just the nature of the music business.
Yeah.
Am I right?
To an extent. It depends on what type of deal you get to, because, like, that's the thing. A lot of artists look at their deal as just a deal for them, not a deal for the company, right? They're like, oh, it's my deal. Y'all gave me this deal. And a lot of artists are only concerned with the initial payment, which is the advance, which is that's the least important thing you should worry about in your deal, right? Like, I remember a friend of mine told me that doing a deal is like buying a house. And I didn't understand until I bought a house, right? Like, you got to understand what your terms are. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the investment? What are you putting in to this deal? And artists, like I said, they think of that shit as one-sided. It's like, give me the money. Y'all gave me money. Okay, I put out a mixtape. I want to put out another one. Well, the mixtape didn't do good. You got to go. And then they don't understand, go get hot. It's like, go get hot. It's like you telling me I should do something that y'all should do for me. No, it's like we can't afford to spend any more money because we in the red off of this one. But the thing about it is there are labels that will keep spending until something breaks. And it's like, that's like in Atlantic, right? Atlantic got to sign. They signed probably 50 people to get Roddy Ricch to make the box one time. You know what I mean? Or 50 more people to get Cardi B. You know what I'm saying? 50 more people to get this next artist. So A Boogie. You know what I mean? So it takes, the shit is like anything else. It's like basketball. You look at how many people's playing ball a year. 3 million people. It's 400 jobs in the NBA. Out of the 400 is maybe 50. That's the cream of the crop making the most money. Now, you getting money in there, but you want to make that $300 million super max, you got to be special. That's how that shit is in music. Like, if you ain't kicking out no records or you not doing nothing that people is excited about, you just going to be left. But you got to understand the terms and not just that advance. That's what artists is concerned with, though. The idea of the chain but that shit is different now. That's kind of dead now. I mean, give me the big chain and give me the car, give me the money. It's like, it's about, can you help me build a structured business?